say yes.
We should count down 25 seconds. Okay, 15 seconds. I am
And
ready
give it-
whenever you want.
Give it a few seconds of exposure before you
She
put
was
it
on
on.
me 3 to
Hold
5
it up
seconds,
so
yeah.
Thank you.
we know where we're at.
So everyone quiet as possible. The audience be quiet and silence your phones if you have phones that need silencing.
Good point.
And you have your rebuttal cards. You understand what those are going to be? You have 3. You can use them anytime at the end of each question. If you have something to add, you
Okay.
can use one of
Okay.
your rebuttal cards. So
Okay.
3 total.
Now, how many questions in total are there?
We'll go until an hour, or I think I have 13.
Okay.
Lucky number.
Yeah.
I'm good whenever you are.
Go. Hello, and welcome to this candidate forum for Forest Lake Mayor. I'm Mary Santee, a member of League of Women Voters of White Bear Lake area, and I live outside the city. I'll be your moderator. League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan volunteer organization which encourages citizens to participate in their government. We support voter education and voter rights. Though the League studies and takes positions on issues, we do not support or oppose any candidate or any political party. Our goal is to allow citizens to learn about the candidates, their positions, and everyone who will be on their ballot on November 5th. All candidates who filed to run for this position were invited to participate. And today we have Sam Husnick and Blake Roberts. For our format, candidates will have 1 minute to introduce themselves. This will be in alphabetical order and followed by questions. And for questions, you have 1 minute to respond to each question. And after that, the order will rotate. Questions were received in advance from the public and reviewed by a team of LWV members. We don't use questions that are unclear, hostile, or of a personal nature. And we have consolidated questions that are on a same topic area. During the questions, candidates each have 3 opportunities of 30 seconds to clarify or information or rebut another candidate's responses. And those are your cards. Just hold up your card, 1, 2, 3. And following the questions, you'll have 1 minute for your closing statement, and that will be in reverse order for the opening statements. Our timekeeper will show warning signs of 30 and 15 seconds, and then a stop sign. And at the stop sign, you can complete your sentence. So, candidate 1, Sam Husnick, would you begin your opening statement?
Oh, thank you very much. As you know, I'm Sam Husnick. I'm a lifelong resident of the city of Forest Lake. My wife has been a resident here since 1970. Before that, I started school here in 1953, to give you an idea how long I've been here. And we've been married 55 years. We have 2 sons, 2 grandkids. I have been involved in one shape or another, or one form of another, for the past 30-plus years in the city of Forest Lake with either Planning Commission, Airport Commission, EDA, and the past 7.5 years on the City Council. That includes the liaison to the school board and for the City of Forest Lake and between District 831. So thank you very much.
And Blake Roberts.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Blake Roberts. I also am a lifelong resident here in Forest Lake. I own a couple small businesses in town. I have 3 lovely daughters. I'm married to my wife, Siobhan, for the last 10 years. We run, as I mentioned, a couple businesses together in Forest Lake here. I've been on the city council for the last year and a half. I've been on the Economic Development Authority for the previous 12 years. I also have served as past president of the Forest Lake Rotary Club and Forest Lake Lake Association, and I am an active member of the Forest Lake Chamber of Commerce and Forest Lake Lions Club. And just looking forward to being able to get this information out and on my topics and priorities, and looking for a great conversation.
Thank you. And we'll go to the questioning now, and we'll start with Blake Roberts. What skills and experience do you have that make you qualified to be mayor of Forest Lake?
So, as I mentioned before, being very actively involved in the community, I think that's important. You need to know the community to be able to represent the community. So, being involved in those civic organizations has allowed me to do that. Also, having a small business, a couple small businesses. Small business is key, and all business is key for Forest Lake. And so, having that knowledge, knowing what it takes to run those, the challenges, that are both just internally and then also different challenges that you have with working with government. I think I bring a great set of eyes to that and will help me as mayor.
Thank you. Sam Husnick.
Yes, excuse me. I am also a retired business owner. We had 2 businesses in the city of Forest Lake. My wife and I are both retired now. And I have the experience that goes along with that, and also the experience of working in city government along the way. And I want to be able to continue that work, and knowing that there's lots of things to do, and that's about it for right now. So sorry about that. My mind went kind of blank there. Sorry.
Thank you. We'll go to the next question, and Sam Husnick, you will begin.
Mm-hmm.
The city has had an interim city administrator for 8 months. When that position is filled, how would you define success for the individual at the end of their first year?
Say that again. I'm sorry. Let's clear. I want to be clear.
The city has had an
8 months.
interim city administrator, and when you hire your new person, how would you define success for that person in the first year?
In our particular case, I think it's being able to work with staff. Right now, that's been kind of an issue with past administrators have had, including the interim. So that's the big thing, is make sure that they can work with the staff and direct staff without micromanaging and letting these folks do their job and being able to move forward. And so they have to be able to get out into the community. I want to make sure that whoever we hire lives in this community, so they get out in the community. The last administrator we had did not live here, and that got to be kind of an issue because they just weren't out into the city and in with going on with all the folks. So those are my goals for that. So
Thank you. Blake Roberts.
So being a city administrator is a challenging job. They have to wear a lot of hats. So to gauge the success for that, a number of things have to happen. First and foremost, they need to serve the city, the residents of the city. That is their job. They are working with the council to direct the city on day-to-day operations, help promote business, and just be really a cheerleader for the city. Also, they do have to manage people. That's a challenge at times. So you have to have a city administrator that's willing to challenge staff, make them the best employees they can be, but also respect them. So I think having those 2 roles, both being for the resident, actually 3 roles, being for the resident, working with the council and employees is key to gauge whether or not you have a successful city administrator or not.
Thank you. And then you'll begin the next question. Blake, if elected, what would be your top 2 priorities for the city, and how would you move these issues forward?
Top two priorities, on top of roles that city government should, their core roles are public safety and infrastructure. On top of that, it's development. Forest Lake is on the cusp of having a great opportunity to develop. The population continues to move north. We've got a lot of developable land. And so working with developers hand in hand and figuring out, instead of asking, how can this not happen, this is, how can we make this happen? We have to be partners with those individuals. The other priority is downtown. So we have a wonderful downtown. We've missed out on a lot of opportunities there. That also is on the cusp of just exploding. We've got a beautiful lakefront, and so working with developers for redevelopment is going to be key and something that I will work very hard on.
Thank you. Sam Husnick.
Yes, my priority would certainly be to make sure that our infrastructure is in place, because no development can happen without making sure that the city's doing their part. And we have to make those investments in that sort of thing, the infrastructure, the roads, making sure the sewer system's working, and water, and so we have to make sure that that's in place first, and then of course, working with whoever can come up with a good idea for the things for the challenges that we have. We've had a study done for this downtown area, and it just gave us a blueprint of what is possible, and it's going to be one of our biggest challenges, especially with the highway right there, the amount of parking we need, and so forth. So those are one of the biggest ones. Also, we have some land that is shovel-ready, and we did need to promote that and to make sure that the developers know that's there, and we can get it going, whatever that happens to be.
Thank you. And move on to the next question, and Sam Husnick will go first. Part of a mayor's job is the facilitation of city council meetings and ensuring that every member is heard. What experience do you have in balancing conflicting viewpoints and building consensus in decision-making?
Thank you. When I served on the Planning Commission, I chaired it for 12 years, and that's where a lot of that experience comes from. And I've also been acting mayor on several different occasions when the mayor can't be here for a meeting. And so the idea is to make sure that everybody's voice is heard, and whether you disagree or agree, the majority rules. And so I have the experience that goes with that. I've been doing that for many years in different committees and so forth, and I think that I'm the right choice for that particular job. Thank you.
Thank you. Blake Roberts.
So that role is very important. Our current mayor, Mara Bain, has done a great job in doing that in my experience in the last year and a half. And so those are big shoes to fill there. I think the key, especially for local community type decisions, in most cases, everyone has the same goal. They have the same goal. They want what's best for the community. It's just sometimes you have different ways to get there. So it's listening to all of those different opinions and letting everyone on the council be heard equally, and the residents, and then coming to some type of a consensus. And you may not agree. You might not always agree. It is majority rules. And so it's just working with everyone to get their message out, and then agree to disagree and move on to the next issue.
Thank you. And the next question will go to you first, Blake. How will you engage with residents to solicit feedback, involve them in decision-making process, and ensure their voices are heard?
That's a challenge for any local government, I believe. It seems as though when decisions are made at city council level, a lot of times that opportunity is missed for public input. They're not paying much attention, they're living their lives, everyone's busy. So it is getting out social media, either on your own personal social media, the city social media, to get the word out of what the topics are going to be and get their feedback. Perfect example, we are looking at cannabis legalization here in Minnesota, and the city wanting to decide how many licenses we allow. The conversation was, well, what do you five want? And my comment was, it's not really doesn't matter what the five of us want, it's what 20,000 people want. How many licenses should we offer? Where should they be located in the city? And so it is key. That is the most important part about this, getting the input from the residents and making sure you're represented in that way.
Thank you. Sam Husnick.
Yes, my plan on having a very open door policy that anybody can come to me at any time that they wish. I am retired, so I can be available for anyone who wants to talk, and it includes if they want to have a neighborhood meeting of some sort, I'd be more than willing to do that. My phone number is out there for everybody to talk to or to call me anytime they feel like it, and to discuss whatever needs to be talked about. And so I want to make sure that we keep people engaged as much as humanly possible to make sure that these decisions are made, that the council can make the right decisions based on what we're hearing from the public. So it's all about open door and being available.
Thank you. Go to the next question. Sam Husnick will begin. What do you believe the city should do to ensure a thriving business community?
Well, first of all, I think the tax base is a big thing. One of the problems with when we're working on budgets, we're always trying to balance that the people that are paying the taxes or paying the bills against what the wants and needs of the city are, and so you end up with a situation where the businesses need to be able to thrive at an equitable tax base, and so make sure that there's laws and rules that don't inhibit the businesses. So I want to be very promotional. I want to make sure that we promote our business as much as humanly possible that way. So, thank you.
Thank you. Blake Roberts.
This is a very important subject. We have a very strong Chamber of Commerce. I think engaging with them even more so than the city already has, they're a great partner of ours, is huge. Letting developers know that we do have developable land, that we're willing to work with them, whether it's TIF, to tax increment financing, or just doing a rehab on the front of their building. We have a program that allows for money back for anyone that does any improvements to their building. We also have a great relationship with Washington County EDA, and so working with them and letting the businesses know all the opportunities that are out there is key. And quite honestly, Forest Lake will be open for business. I am willing to work with any developer and let them come to Forest Lake, see what we have to offer, and continue to grow this city.
Thank you. And the next question, Blake Roberts will go first. In what ways do you see zoning regulations and building codes getting in the way of more affordable housing?
So that's a fine line to strike. A lot of those regulations and zoning codes and everything are there for a reason. It's to protect the city, it's to protect the residents. So those are very important to keep those standards high. But you do have to balance that with working with that developer or that landowner, so not to be too restrictive. We have some partners, watershed districts and things at times that get a little bit too restrictive which makes it much more expensive for development. So striking that fine line where we are protecting the residents and building great facilities and infrastructure, and also allowing some of the red tape to be taken away so that we can actually get things done and developed.
Thank you. Sam Husnick.
Yeah, part of it's, we have to make sure that our zoning is in place to allow for maybe higher density and that sort of thing. Regulations are really part of the problem, and it's really a challenging thing to have affordable housing. What's the definition of that? And so it's getting tougher and tougher with building codes and material costs and labor costs and so on. And so there's going to be some real challenge working that out. Washington County is going to have to be part of our decision-making process along the way. And the Met Council, of course, they are kind of dictating where we are with density and that sort of thing. And I think that's what it's going to take, is to define exactly what that's going to be so that we can move forward as best we can. But it's a real challenge.
Okay.
Can I add something? So, the city did, a year ago, reduce the maximum or the amount of lot size we have, so that has made it affordable, so we can build on smaller lots. Affordable housing doesn't necessarily mean apartments and multifamily housing. It also means just being able to work with that developer, allow for smaller lots, so that we can get that density.
I'm not sure that always helps because of the cost of.
Would you like to
Right.
use one of your rebuttal cards too?
No, it's not, it's just that we have to make sure that, what that definition is, we need to know exactly what affordable housing is, what's the definition? So, because it isn't necessarily just smaller lots. We have done that, and it's been good, so, all right?
Thank you. The next question will go first to Sam Husnick. What changes, if any, do you believe should be made with the current arrangements with the Forest Lake Association?
Well, so far, the city of Forest Lake has always been a big help with the Forest Lake Lake Association. We've given money to help with weed control and that kind of thing, and I don't know that we need any big changes with that. That we rely on the Lake Association to come forward to the city council to let us know what the wants and needs are and what the challenges are there. And the city council then makes a decision on what they can do to help. So that's it. Thanks.
And Blake Roberts.
So as the founding member, one of the founding members of the Lake Association and past president, this is real near and dear to my heart. I've grown up and lived on the lake all my life. We have a great relationship with the Lake Association. That was something that I, again, started with a number of other individuals in the city. We came to the city and partnered. This goes back to 2007, and the city has continued that partnership along with the Watershed District. And so improvements, might be questioning whether the weed harvesting program actually is effective or not. Some residents like it, some don't. So it's really going and talking through that, working with the association and letting them lead and us follow as partners has been a great relationship, and I hope to continue that even stronger.
Next question, we'll begin with Blake. Forest Lake currently operates under a 10-year capital improvement plan, CIP. What changes, if any, would you want to make to that plan?
The plan is for the first time in a number of years, well, for first time ever, from my understanding, that we do actually have a 10-year plan, which is really great in guiding us on how to budget for the future. It looks at different needs that we might have, whether it be facilities, capital equipment, park projects. And so I don't think I'd make much changes. It is hard to forecast out sometimes 10 years. So the only change would be to allow that. I mean, that's a living document, so that it can be, as things change, the economy changes, we're able to make adjustments to that. So if there are some impacts on taxes, maybe we soften that up and we push a project down the road if we're in a tough economic time. We've been discussing that here recently with the current budget, and so I'm just grateful to have that document to guide us going forward.
Thank you. Sam?
Yes, the 10-year plan is a blueprint for us to be able to move forward. And then one thing about it, it does identify what needs to be done in the city of Forest Lake. Whether or not we can achieve all those goals all at one time, even yearly, can be some challenging at times. But at least it lets us know that we have buildings that need repair, we have buildings that need to be built, that we need for the city, and as far as public works and so forth. And it gives us an opportunity to look at all those things that need to be done that's just a few of the things, but at least it gives us kind of a blueprint. And of course, like any CPI, CIP rather, is that you can adjust it, or you have to adjust it yearly sometimes. And so, but it is a blueprint for us to move forward.
Thank you. And Sam, you'll begin for the next question.
Mhm.
A Parks and Recreation Commission has been established, and a Parks and Recreation Coordinator is to be hired. What do you believe are the priority issues for the commission and the new coordinator?
The big thing as far as the Park Commission is concerned, in my opinion, is that they're going to be a big help in identifying what really needs to be done with the parks. And they can take a look at each individual park. We're dealing with about, I think, 24, or depends on which one you want to count, but it's 24 or more parks. And so each one has to be looked at to identify what equipment it's going to take, what repairs need to be done. And so the Parks Commission, that would be a big portion of their job as far as I'm concerned, so that they could let us know as a city council to try to fund whatever they need. It isn't always possible. For many years, the park board, or the parks have been funded through park dedication fees and that sort of thing, and now we have been putting money into the parks system, which never happened before through the city council. So it's one step at a time.
Thank you. Blake Roberts.
So unfortunately, we've not had a Parks Commission or Board for the last 2 years, which is an absolute travesty. We need to get the input from individuals who are near and dear to parks. A lot of that their kids are using those parks, and we've not had that in place. We've tried to, as a council member, I've advocated to get that in place. We finally are, so we need to move forward and give them the tools that it takes to improve our parks. We have started spending some more money on parks, which is great. We have a number of regional ones, that partnerships with the school district out at Fenway. And so it is going to be giving them the tools, letting them know what their budget is, and listening to what that commission says. Because part of the reason why we lost that commission was they were not being listened to by the previous council or staff. And so it's key to have their input and listen to it and agree to what they want to do or their input.
Thank you. Next question. Go to Blake Roberts first. Forest Lake does not have someone on staff dedicated to code enforcement. As mayor, would you support adding a code enforcement officer to the city budget? Why or why not?
It's a great question. So we have debated this for 2 years now. Code enforcement is very important. It's something Forest Lake has lacked for years. We need to clean up the city. We also have to clean up our own property. Forest Lake the city has a number of properties that we're not even maintaining. So we need to hold, the residents need to hold us to the same level. So I think once we do have the new city administrator, I'd be open to see what that person's opinion is. If the current staff has the bandwidth to have that code enforcement officer, potentially it's a part-time job with another role in the city, but we have to increase our code enforcement, but we have to do it in a way where we're not infringing on property owners' rights, which I'm a big advocate for.
Sam, how's Nick?
My issue with code enforcement is I absolutely believe that we need a code enforcement officer. The issue I've always had with it is to not be too intrusive. In other words, the statement I've used a couple times at the city council level is we didn't want Barney Fife walking through people's backyards. Well, it turns out you can't do that sort of thing. And it's a very important job because there are lots of places in the city of Forest Lake that need to be cleaned up, and there has been some active activity trying to get some of that done. Why people don't take pride in their property is beyond me, but it definitely needs something that for a long time we've been lacking. So I would advocate that we move forward with a code enforcement officer within confines, within regulations.
Thank you. Next question, Sam Husnick, you'll go first. What concerns do you have, if any, about expansion of the Forest Lake Airport?
The Forest Lake Airport is one of these things that I've been involved in for a long, long time. And one thing about the expansion of the airport, so far, there's very little we can do as far as expanding it. It's just improving some of the things that we already have there, maybe adding some new hangar areas, a taxiway, for instance, we just did something like that over there. There's going to be only a short expansion on the runway. There's a very limited amount that we can do there as far as that part is concerned, but we can certainly enhance what's already there. And the MnDOT Aeronautics has been a fantastic partner in this, that whole endeavor. And one thing about the Forest Lake Airport, if you look at the study from MnDOT Aeronautics, that it showed about a $3 million positive impact to the economy of the city of Forest Lake every year.
Thank you. Blake Roberts.
The airport is a huge, huge benefit to the city economically and just recreational. It's a great amenity to have. However, we need to do it, have more transparency in the airport. We've been told for years that this is fully funded, the taxpayers are not funding this, but actually that's not the case. City staff has not been time has not been dedicated to any, a lot of the activities out there. And we also need to be fully aware that, everyone needs to be on the same line as far as regulations out there. There's people running businesses out there. There's people that allegedly are living out there. And so we need to go in, do some hangar inspections, make some areas commercial-wise, and let's make it more than just where some people hang out and fly once in a while. Let's make that a huge economic positive that actually can be.
Thank you.
Rebuttal, please.
You would like to make a rebuttal?
I
Yes.
would, yeah. One thing about the funding, there's always been a huge misunderstanding about the funding. The funding from the MnDOT Aeronautics is totally funded by the people who are involved in general aviation. Same thing with the local share. The leases the lease money that's collected, the fuel taxes that the city collects, and the profits, not fuel taxes, but they collect the profit on it, on the fuel. The taxes go directly into MnDOT Aeronautics. It goes into the federal aviation system, and that's why we can get jobs done out there, projects done for 5 cents on the dollar. And the local share comes directly out of that amount that we spend within the airport commission.
Thank you. All right.
I think that is opposite of what my point is on transparency. The numbers will show out here this upcoming year about dollars that are spent out there. Now that we are accurately accounting staff time to the airport fund, it probably will end up being in a deficit, unfortunately. And if that means we have to fund that through the levy, I'm not completely opposed to that, but let's be transparent. That's not what's been going on out there for the last 15 years.
Thank you. And this is going to be our last question that we brought. You've been very efficient in answering. And the first to answer will be Blake Roberts. What steps will you take to ensure financial transparency and accountability in city government?
Well, as I just spoke to, I mean, that has not been going on out at the airport. That is the utmost important thing in city government. You have to be accountable for every dollar that's spent and have answers as to why dollars are spent or where they're coming from, what department, what funds. Is it coming from the sewer fund? Is it coming from the water fund? That is important. That would be one of the most important things I look at. We've got a great finance director in place right now. Again, we've worked starting on that 10-year plan. That continues to evolve. And so having that transparency is, again, one of the most important things when it comes to city government for people's tax dollars.
Thank you. Sam Husnick.
Last year, we increased our levy there was one particular portion that we increased it quite a bit. It was to fix some roads that sorely needed some work on. And one of the things I've asked our engineer is, well, let's go through and just tell the public, how was that money spent? Let's show exactly where that money went. And so that's just one example besides the accounting, and we want to make sure that the residents know where their money is going every single time, and whether there is the accountability. And I think that where we're lagging sometimes is that we don't explain very well where that money went and how it was used. And so I think we could do a better job of that. The accountants that we have here are fantastic, and everything is accounted by the penny. But I don't think we always get the message out exactly how that money was spent. Thanks.
Thank you. And we'll now turn to closing statements, where you'll have a 1 minute to explain your interest and your qualifications. First, we'll begin with Blake Roberts.
Thank you. Again, I appreciate the opportunity here today to speak. As mentioned before, a lifelong resident. I bleed for this city. I think it is on the cusp of some major great things that can happen. I'm the person that can bring it to the next level. My opponent talks about being involved for 30 years. I think it's time for a fresh new look on things. I have the ability, I have the range to do this, and I look forward to being able to serve Forest Lake, not just the businesses, but the residents, visitors that are coming into the city, and look forward to being your next mayor.
Thank you. Sam Hosnick.
And I will talk about the 30 years experience I have. And one of the things that you have to always consider is that you're one vote on a council, no matter what the situation is. And but I have the time to invest in this city now that I'm retired, and I've always had the time even when I wasn't retired. And so I can make things move because I want to have an open door policy where I can talk with developers and residents and new people that come into the city of Forest Lake and promote all the good things that we have in this city, which is the lake and the airport and the golf courses and so forth. So as mayor, I can make that happen. Thank you.
Thank you. And that concludes our forum for Mayor of Forest Lake. Thank you to our candidates for putting yourself forward and for coming to give your statements to the public. Our website, lwvwbla.org, has listings for all of our candidates' forums and links where you can submit questions for them. You can view recordings of this forum and all our completed forums on YouTube. Channel League of Women Voters, White Bear Lake area. You can also look for it on cable channel and their YouTube channel. Thank you, and make sure to vote. Early voting is underway and will be open until November 4th. Election day is Tuesday, November 5th. Thank you.
Thank you.
Exercise your opportunity to vote.